Hey, welcome to the Steel Lodge. Yesterday, CD Projekt Red let us know that they're actually dropping a roguelike Gwent game that's single player and that it's coming out the day after they announced it. Well, it's time, and the game dropped on Steam. It's only $10, so it's really affordable. And it's not listed to have Steam Deck support, but I wanted to test it out right away. One thing that's listed is that it doesn't have controller support, but it actually does, and the game runs great on the Steam Deck. There's one minor issue, but I'll show you when we get into the game, and it's only for cutscenes, so if you don't really care about that, and care more so about the gameplay, you'll be totally good to go. Let's jump right into it. Now I'm going back over and re-recording the audio for this part, but when you launch the game initially, it's going to prompt you to sign into GOG, which is CDPR's service to sell games through, but it also hooks up to their Gwent game, the multiplayer one. I don't really have an account for the multiplayer one, so I don't care about getting the benefits from the single player game carrying over to there. So I just went ahead and went into offline mode, but I do have a GOG account, so I'd recommend you sign into here. Now the other thing I'm going to display to you here is that when you launch the game, this is the only glitch I encountered. There is this video codec missing, so the pre-rendered video will not play back here. But other than that, it's good. So we'll just go ahead and go to the actual gameplay now. Alright, here we are in game now, and one thing I want to bring up right away is that when you launch this game, it's actually going to default to using a mouse and keyboard shortcut because this game doesn't have controller support listed on Steam, and I was a little bit worried about that beforehand with buying it and testing it on the Steam Deck, but it actually worked fine with just the trackpad layout. But I went ahead and tested it with a gamepad, and this game actually does have controller support. And really the only problem I've had on the Steam Deck so far with this game is that when I launched the game, there was one cinematic, and it looks like the video codecs are missing for Proton to actually play that back. So it was basically the typical Proton screen that's got a bunch of colors on it and is a bit glitched out. But the actual gameplay and everything here, this game runs great on the Steam Deck, and I was kind of curious to see how it would run because I've played Gwent a decent bit, or Thronebreaker a decent bit, on my Steam Deck, and it runs fine on here, and this is a pretty similar situation. Now, graphics-wise, there's not a lot of settings that we can enable here. Everything's on Ultra. Basically, all the settings are on the default from when I install the game, and I'm just running at 720p because it's on my external monitor. I'd imagine that, let's see here, there might not be an 800p resolution, but if the video codec can get fixed, I think this game can just get Steam Deck verified because it seems to be good. Now we'll actually jump into some gameplay here. I just did a quick run through the tutorial and a little run before this. I haven't played Gwent the most. I haven't really played the multiplayer game at all, but I have played Thronebreaker a couple hours. Didn't beat it, but this game looks really fun, and roguelike deck builders are some of my favorite games. Things like Slay the Spire, Monster Train, Inscription, and my girlfriend and I have actually been playing Across the Obelisk lately because that's a multiplayer game. Now, one thing I want to bring up quick here is I did say the game has controller support, which it does. I'm moving around the map with my right thumbstick, but unfortunately with this, it'd be nice if you could just use the left thumbstick to thumb between these paths, but you have to use this like a cursor. But then we can just press A there and jump on into it. So graphically, I haven't really played the Thronebreaker, the Gwent multiplayer game. I keep mixing them up because they're basically the same thing, you know. Thronebreaker is just the one that is the single-player RPG game. But I'm really liking how this game's playing so far. Graphically, here in the battle, it looks a lot like Thronebreaker, and even the art on some of these cards I recognize from Thronebreaker. Now for this, you just hover over the cards, move it with my left thumbstick here or the D-pad, and it just selects them. You know, all the mappings are set up for a controller, which is great. Now, unfortunately, I didn't set this up the best where I have a unit that I can use to receive all the buffs and benefit massively off this, but I'll just do some gameplay here and you guys can watch the gameplay out for a while. Now, if we look at the stats here for our Steam Deck's performance, this game runs great. Basically locked 60 FPS all the time, and I have just over 50% battery life remaining, and I have about 2 hours and 25 minutes, so I could imagine if you have a full charge with a little bit lower brightness and maybe locking this game to 40 FPS, you could be looking at over 5 hours here. And one of the things that's really saving us on battery life is that our CPU isn't being used a ton, and that's a thing that really consumes a lot of battery life on the Steam Deck.
Army's a waste of time for him like me.
I'm so very, very afraid.
Freedom!
For a great Redania, from the mountains to the sea!
Double space! More Radovid! Hundred and 52, 154. Let's make something beautiful together. Scrubbing duty again? Oh, lords.
I'm itching for that battle.
So it looks like most battles here are just going to be best of one instead of a best of three, which makes sense to keep the pace of the game going. And it's even nice here that you can press the bumpers and it's all mapped out. So they definitely need LS controller support for this game because it works pretty damn good. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to check out more Steam Deck content, please consider subscribing. I've got a ton on here. Have a good one.